The next Jurassic Park movie is getting a lot of people talking, and it's for some pretty interesting reasons when compared to the last few entries that have come out. In fact, a new quote directly from Universal kind of makes it seem like they're not only trying to distance themselves from the last trilogy, but that Steven Spielberg himself is way more involved on the new project, Jurassic World Rebirth, which is due out for release next summer. And the details sound pretty interesting. What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. So this information comes directly from Donna Langley, the Chief Content Officer and Chairman of NBC Universal Studio Group. A friend of mine sent this to me after Chris Pratt dropped it on his Twitter account saying that we're probably going to get a lot more JP4 ideas this go around, which I do agree with, but let's just go ahead and jump into the quote because Donna Langley had this to say about the new movie. And then we're in production on Jurassic, on a sort of redo of Jurassic. So the trilogy with Chris Pratt is over, and this is a new one that Steven Spielberg is very involved in. And so we're certainly prioritizing those all-audience types of films, but we're also looking really closely at who's showing up regularly to the movie theater. Okay, now that's actually a pretty cool peek behind the curtain when it comes to the next Jurassic movie, and it confirms something we've gotten a few hints at here and there in the past. On a side note, that last little bit, they're looking at who's actually showing up regularly to the movie theater. My best guess is that's like super fans. I mean, if you look at movies like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the Ghostbusters stuff, maybe even something like Alien Romulus, the people that are championing these new movies, which are more or less being directed towards super fans, are those massive fans of the properties. So that could be why they got David Koepp back and even the director of Godzilla, Gareth Edwards, involved. So what does all of the quote mean when you compare this with everything else we've heard recently? Well, for starters, this is the most involved I think Spielberg has been on a Jurassic Park movie since at least 2017, but probably more like 2014 since David Koepp is in fact coming back. One thing we do know about the new movie is that it's supposed to feature an expedition to the equator where the three largest dinosaur species of land, sea, and air are needed to extract some DNA samples from in order to create some sort of life-saving drug that could benefit mankind. The movie's team has a mix of commando-adjacent types and a paleontologist, while also intersecting with a family of tourists who have been attacked by wild dinosaurs and wound up stranded on a deserted island that may or may not belong to InGen from way back in the Jurassic Park days with John Hammond. So this is already sounding like it's taking a lot of inspiration from the old school stuff than anything we've really seen recently. And if you've watched some of my other videos before, you'll know that a lot of these ideas feel like they're inspired from unmade movies and alternative lore and all kinds of stuff that we just haven't gotten in years. Look, I've got loads of info on this stuff broken up in like hour-long podcasts, everything from paleontological lore from the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park to whole endings that were deleted. If you can go over that if you're interested, but like this new movie is definitely different from what we've seen recently. That being said, for Donna Langley to call this new movie a redo of Jurassic is also kind of a big deal because it sort of means they're moving past the whole World trilogy brought on by Colin Trevorrow and making different decisions about how they make these things. Speaking of which, I wanted to elaborate on some of that a little bit further. So look, when Jurassic World came out, I was a massive fan of that movie. There was no one championing Colin Trevorrow like me when it came down to the Jurassic Park franchise. Back in 2020 and 2021, I was so excited to see him come back. I had seen Jurassic World 5 times in theaters in 2015 after being very disappointed in Jurassic Park 3. I saw Fallen Kingdom 6 times in theaters. I paid like $2,000 to fly out to London to see it like a month before everybody else in the United States, and I was fanboying like crazy. I don't know, man, like just looking back at it, all of this is just so disappointing. I mean, I was very happy that Fallen Kingdom had taken things in a much darker direction visually than the last film, and how much I thought Bayona was a really good cinematic director. And then I saw Jurassic World Dominion, and I'm not even kidding, I cannot force myself to watch that thing again like anytime soon at all. I stopped making videos regularly after that. It wasn't just that movie, by the way. Camp Cretaceous went off the rails in this ridiculous stuff in season 4. That was kind of a massive disappointment for me with Jurassic World Dominion. The only other movie that hit me like that hard was The Last Jedi, which is why I was like so shocked to hear that they were even making a new one with David Koepp and Gareth Edwards so soon. Now, I'm not so sure how Spielberg is actually moving this new project forward or what that really even means, but one thing that I do know, and this has to mean something, is that they really seem to be trying to tell people that this next movie is a very different project than what we've seen over the last few years. It's not a reboot, even though she's calling it a redo. Those films are still in canon, but they're distancing themselves like really far away from that stuff. And I think this one is probably going to be their attempt to revitalize everything and build something new that audiences will love. Seems like what they're trying to say here. I'm sure movies like Alien Romulus or even Twisters are what they're trying to channel, but in the end, the whole idea that they're just flat out saying it's stepping away from the last trilogy by saying it's a redo and it's away from the Chris Pratt stuff, that's like a big deal. They're really telling you what they want this thing to be. So, can we expect to see a return to that Jurassic Park and the Lost World feel? Well, maybe, but I think in general, what this really means is that Colin kind of took things in a direction that didn't really land well for a lot of people. A lot of us gave him a lot of grace, I think, at first. There's still a lot of people that have always loved Dominion. I know a lot of Jurassic Park fans and content creators that will always support Dominion. I'm not one of those people. I'm sorry. I don't even know if I would like Fallen Kingdom rewatching it. There's a reason I haven't seen these movies in a couple of years. But look, guys, I really think that he took things in a place that were just way too kid-friendly, way less Michael Crichton, and way more almost like a parody of Jurassic Park, or like a campy comical like spin on it. And I don't even know if that was what he was trying to do, but that's the kind of filmmaker he is he's not the same kind of guy as David Koepp. And yeah, I think sometimes these big franchises need to either just stop or maybe go back to what made them great to begin with before you get some massive diminishing returns. And that could very well be why Steven Spielberg is so involved. Again, we don't really know what he's bringing to the table here, but my best guess is that the reason we saw him like shy away from the spotlight in interviews and stuff with Jurassic World Dominion or even Fallen Kingdom is like he was just trying to distance himself from those movies and do his own thing. And he's back now. We'll see how it turns out. All in all, Universal's coming out and they're saying this is a redo of Jurassic Park. We're distancing ourselves from the Chris Pratt trilogy and we're really trying to revitalize it and make a movie for all audiences, the people that are showing up to theaters. In my opinion, I read that as the super fans. So yeah, that's just what I have to say. Now, guys, what do you think about this information? Do you think that Jurassic World Rebirth is going to be drastically different from Jurassic World Dominion and Fallen Kingdom and maybe even the first Jurassic World? Or do you think that they're just making a new movie and this is their like last attempt to squeeze the last little bit of money out of the franchise and they're gonna lie to all of us and say like, oh, it's totally different and it's just gonna be like another Dominion? I actually don't think they can afford to do that. So like, I do think this is a brand new attempt at revitalizing Jurassic Park. But hey, whatever your own thoughts and opinions happen to be, I'd love to hear all about them in the comments down below. Now, before I go, I want to thank everyone that's helped me build my channel over the years. I'd also like to thank every one of you guys who've watched my stuff. You've all been extremely cool to me. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and hope that you'll consider subscribing. God bless you all. Christ is King. See you guys in the next video. And as always, take it easy.